You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load. She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring. Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, the viral load. Viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI Mo Kelly, Tiffany Hobbs is part one of the viral load.
Before we get into the viral load, Mo, I really want to go back to something you said a little earlier, talking about the signs of ADHD, ways in which we may identify with that sort of diagnosis. And you touched on 3 specific points: the listening to songs on a loop, the delaying of chores or things that you need to do, and the lingering in the car. And for every single one you said, I had my hands up testifying, because each one of them is absolutely unequivocally me. I do those things.
And I think maybe radio might be conducive to that, because we get to change topics for the most part every single segment.
Yeah,
Our mind gets to move on.
I'm wondering kind of like what comes first, chicken or egg? I'm like, is it radio that's producing this in us, or are we just here doing that and sharing that with the listeners?
Well, I think radio helps us cope.
Okay. Well, let's cope with something else. How about that?
All right.
If you're like me, you might have been wondering why there's a shiny, wet baby hippo all over your social media feeds.
Not over mine. What's going on yours?
Well, if you look closely enough, you might find evidence of this baby hippo, because a little hippo in Thailand has taken the internet by storm, becoming a viral sensation and even inspiring beauty brands like Sephora to name makeup after this cute little baby hippo. So who's the hippo in question? Her name is Moo Deng. Moodeng, and she's a baby pygmy hippo at a zoo in eastern Thailand, right outside of Bangkok. She's had the internet in a complete chokehold with what she looks like, her behavior. And the thing about Moo Deng is that she's not just sitting there, and she's not just doing kind of what we know hippos to do, which is kind of just to be there, right? They're just laying there, kind of this lard type situation. Well, Moo Deng seems to be very tenacious and somewhat violent. And this little baby hippo has been recorded and shared all around the internet, biting her handlers. Mind you, she has no teeth, but she's been biting her handlers. She's been aggressive towards the people in her cage. She's been aggressive towards her pod or her pack. She also hails from a famous hippopotamus family.
Wait a minute, they're famous hippo?
They're more famous than you and I, Mo.
Well, that's not saying much.
Her mother and father are well known in Thailand, as is her grandmother. So she comes from a very well-known lineage of hippopotamus. Hippopotami? Hippos. And all of this has turned into, again, this viral sensation where memes and all sorts of funny jokes and banter has been used and attributed to Miss Moo Deng. She is our newest celebrity.
It's all fun and games until Moo Deng turns around and kills a trainer.
And that may very well happen as she gets older, because she is on her way. Now, originally, the zoo was seeing about 800 visitors on any given day. But since Moo Deng has catapulted to fame, they're now getting 3,000 to 4,000 visitors. So the zoo is trying to figure out how to handle this onslaught of attention as well. But she's our newest viral sensation. So now when you see this baby pygmy, kind of slick, slimy, wet hippopotamus on your timeline, and you see Moo Deng, you'll know what's going on.
I don't know the differences between the hippos, pygmy, non-pygmy.
She's little. She's a little one. She's smaller than the average hippo. That's where the pygmy comes in.
Oh, bite-size. Okay.
Bite-size, literally. Right. She's biting size. Also, the Utah Jazz have taken to her, and they're calling her a lifestyle icon. She's famous. All right, next story. You might have heard of Spirit Halloween. How can you miss it?
Right.
Spirit Halloween is that store that puts their banner up seemingly when a business closes, and boom, you have Spirit Halloween, this warehouse of sorts that houses Halloween decor and decorations and costumes. Well, people often poke fun at Spirit Halloween because they do pop up seemingly out of nowhere. And you can expect a Spirit Halloween banner when a business closes. It's kind of in tandem. Well, Saturday Night Live decided to take Spirit Halloween and to spoof it as they do for their opener for this current season. Now, they talked about Spirit Halloween, again, being something that pops up somewhat unexpectedly, and just, made fun of this business. Well, Spirit Halloween did not take too kindly to all of that poking fun, and they decided to clap back. And a clap back basically means they had their way with them. They had their say. And what Spirit Halloween did is they created a post on X/Twitter, and it's a packaged fake costume. What a costume would come in, the packaging, and on the outside of this packaging is as a description for Saturday Night Live. And they use the words Saturday Night Live 50th Anniversary Edition, irrelevant 50-year-old show,
Ooh, burn.
Unknown cast members,
Burn.
Dated references, and shrinking ratings. It's the battle we didn't know we would have in 2024, but it's certainly the battle we deserve.
Yeah, but here's the thing. SNL has far more writers, far more opportunities to punch back at Spirit Halloween.
They do.
Don't get me wrong. Spirit Halloween landed a punch, but all that does is escalate the fight.
It does. And I think even though Spirit Halloween isn't in the comedy business, to know that they're engaging with their fan base this way and engaging with other fan bases just, again, further accelerates their success. It makes them more of a household name. If you didn't know who they were before, you certainly do now if you are an SNL fan. And you will undoubtedly see a Spirit Halloween store somewhere close to you. And then you might be able to link those two things. So they're just broadening their fan base.
Well, I can't wait because SNL will have the last word. I am sure of it.
When we come back, Mo, we're going to talk a little bit more about Costco and not about the gold bars or the platinum bars.
Not the hot dogs?
Not the hot dogs. Something way more essential and what is causing a frenzy at these big warehouse stores as of today.
That'll be part 2 of the Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs. It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now it's time for the Viral Load with Tiffany. Live on KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the top hits on social media. The Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs.
It's part 2 of the Viral Load here on Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Tiffany Hobbs, take it away.
This is why media literacy is so very important. And media literacy is your ability to discern and decipher between fact and fiction online. There's a lot of fiction online passing off as fact. And this next story has to do with just that. Americans are once again panic buying toilet paper.
Huh?
It's not due to COVID. It's not even due to the recent hurricanes. Instead, big box warehouse stores like Costco, which you just spoke about, are not only seeing their gold and platinum bars leaving the shelves, but they're also seeing an influx of customers who are wiping them out for their toilet tissue.
I got that. Say wiping them out. That was a play on words.
You see what I did there? Well, it's all rooted in people posting online about how their local stores are low on or out of this toilet paper because of the dock workers strike on the East Coast. So the massive East Coast dock dock workers strike is being perceived as resulting in shortages at these big box stores like Costco. People are posting online, hey, this store is out. That goes viral. It's shared thousands of times. Or, hey, hurry up and get over here because I heard that this store is running low or they're offering specials or whatever the posting might be. It's being shared far and wide. And while this is countrywide, while stores like Costco are seeing this happening across the entirety of the United States, it seems to be most impactful here on the West Coast, here in California specifically, and in Nevada, and even more specifically, Las Vegas, which actually did a whole write-up about how Las Vegans are panic buying toilet paper. So,
are you sure it's not Las Vegans?
I doubt with all that meat they have there, right?
Thank you very much.
That was too easy. So the Retail Association of Nevada specifically did release a quote by the senior vice president who says, in fact, those particular actions are going to be what causes more of a disruption to the supply chain than the longshoremen strike at this point. He goes on to say that, I think for some folks, COVID-19 is still in our short-term memory. But this is an example of the fact that you can't believe everything you read or hear, online specifically. Do your research, cross-check, fact-check. I know that may not be popular right now, but make sure that you are doing your due diligence to see if these stories are in fact true, because if not, you might find yourself in line for toilet paper thinking that you're not going to be able to have any. And I made the mistake, Mo, because I also fell victim to this. I went to Target tonight. I went and bought dishwasher pods so I could do the 3 dishes or wash them and then put them in the dishwasher. I was out of pods. I've been sitting on this for a day now, meaning to do it. And I also bought toilet paper just in case.
My hiney's clean.
And a good quality at that, because I remember what happened, even though the rumors were false during COVID.
You're just hedging your bet.
Just hedging my bet and my butt.
Ah, well done.
There you go. Oh,
Stefan?
Steph.
Okay.
Finally, I get one. All right. The final story, and we might have time for a 5th one, but maybe not, has to do with a viral video of a San Francisco woman who was subjected to alleged harassment by 2 men while she sat inside of one of those Waymo driverless cars.
Wait. Someone was assaulted in a Waymo? Is that what you're getting ready to tell us?
Not only one person, but a total of at least 5. There's one leading this story, and I have 2 more embedded in the story.
Okay, you don't know, but Tuwala is in the pocket, or they're in his pocket.
Oh, I've heard him talking about it.
Okay, and he said nothing bad ever happens with Waymo except they're driving in circles and they're honking at each other.
Oh.
She said we would have heard if something bad happened.
Well,
and you're getting ready to tell us.
Oh man, am I getting ready to tell you?
Okay.
So, in the first story, there's a 28-year-old woman who's going by the name Amina V. She was riding in a Waymo self-driving car this past Saturday when she was stopped at a red light. The car just stopped, as it does, to observe traffic laws. And 2 guys got in front of the car and started to gesture towards her and trying to, get her attention. They're kind of miming for her phone number. And she is frantically trying to get them out of the way because the car won't move when there's something in its path. When it's a human or another car, it's not going anywhere. So these men weren't necessarily aggressive. They didn't get close to her. Catcalling. She's, again, yelling at them. They're yelling back. They eventually do move. She does file a complaint with Waymo. They offered her 1 free ride as a concession.
What? For all the negative press it's going to get.
All the negative press.
All the stories are going to be attached to Waymo. Okay,
Yeah.
Their SEO, the search engine optimization, is going to go through the roof because of a negative story, and they could have put their imprint on a story by just making it. Give her free Waymo for a month or something.
Something more than that. But they did go on to explain that they equip their cars kind of with a panic button type of situation where you can push the button and it will alert authorities and allow you to have kind of that comfort of knowing that someone's on the way to help you.
Okay.
That story of the 3 is the least offensive, probably. The next story also took place in San Francisco where a few girls went on a girls' trip. This is recent as well. And someone attempted to cover the sensors of the Waymo car while they
another
were in
Waymo
it.
story?
Yes. And that car was then jumped on by these guys. They started attacking the car, spray painting it. Two women in that vehicle captured it on their phones and uploaded it to TikTok this previous Monday. That's not even the worst. There was one final story.
Don't tell me it has to do with Waymo.
That also happened with Waymo. That deals with another rider who was trapped in the car when someone jumped on the hood
They come in the studio to
and
defend Waymo.
started spray painting the Waymo, and the people couldn't get away.
Someone from Waymo must have called Tawala and said, "Get in the studio now and earn your money."
He went by so fast.
Look, I just want to make sure that these stories have to do with the thing that I say is the biggest problem, and that's people. These are people abusing Waymo. All you have heard is reports on grotesque men abusing Waymo, spray painting them, jeering and leering and harassing women. Waymo has a panic button for that purpose, to say, "Hey, I'm in trouble. Please alert."
A person would have known to drive away.
You know what? No, because people would have probably run them over, because that's how cruel and crass and merciless we are as people.
Waymo, as opposed to just dragging a grandmother.
I'm sorry. So it's Waymo's fault that these men, these hoodlums, are spray painting their cars?
They should have had better programming to handle this.
You are literally blaming the victim.
If I were
This is victim blaming.
Look, if Stefan were to pick me up in an Uber and someone started spray painting the car, I can trust that Stefan can get us out of there.
You can't trust that. Stefan may freak out and jump out of the car and leave. You sitting in the back seat, not able to do anything.
From Waymo?
You know what? The lady was safe. She eventually got to where she was going. The men left. Correct? Okay. So this has nothing to do with Waymo.
These are people attacking Waymo. Rest your case.
Yeah, you okay. You get paid regardless. You're on retainer.
Got really hot in here. Feeling uncomfortable. That's it for the viral load. I'm getting out of here.
No. We got 30 seconds.
Oh. Well, okay. Oh.
What happened to Kevin Sorbo?
Okay.
I'm just curious. What happened to Kevin Sorbo?
Kevin Sorbo was on Twitter, and he posted, he's on Twitter a lot. Kevin Sorbo, the actor, posted that the reason he left Hollywood was due to a number of things, including the quote, perverts in Hollywood. Now, what happened was the internet didn't like that. A lot of people work in Hollywood.
He left because of the perverts.
He left because of the quote, perverts in Hollywood.
Not because he couldn't get a job. He didn't have enough talent.
No. And others, of course, when you put that out online, you're going to have people who come back with facts. And they did. And they called him all sorts of things, including a liar. But what they then renamed Kevin Sorbo as is now Dollar Store Thor.
Dollar Store Thor.
It is one of the great pleasures to see Kevin Sorbo get curb stomped almost every day on social media.
He's not self-aware at all. The things that he says, I don't care whether you agree with him or not. I'm sorry. Kevin, I hope you're listening right now. You're not very bright.
Dollar Store Thor.
No, whatever his other talents may have been, the ersatz Hercules.
Ersatz.
not the brightest bulb in the whole room.
It's like his Achilles.
Didn't he say pedos? I thought I saw the original tweet.
It's one of the two.
Yeah, I think he said perverts, but still, same thing.
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other pedos. But boy, every time the material is such quality, high quality. When people swarm on him for saying something dumb, it's very entertaining.
I don't know. After a while, I began to think it was a satire profile, because how many times can someone get self-owned? How many times can someone say something that is immediately turned around and used to mock him because they're his words, what he said? I don't know how many times, and it happens more often than not.
It's a real Dunning-Kruger case here. He has no idea how unintelligent he may appear to other people, and he just he lets it fly.
But we know, and that's enough.
Yes.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Last night, we told you about the passing of actor John Amos. That was last night, as in October 1st. And if you were like me, you noticed that in the stories that were released to the media, it was indicated that John Amos had passed on August 21st. Whereas it's not necessarily unusual for a celebrity or someone to pass and that information not be given to the public immediately, 45 days is a long time. It's an especially long time when you have immediate family members, like his daughter, who did not know and found out, like you and me, in the media 45 days later. Shannon Amos' daughter said this yesterday. Quote, "I am without words. Our family has received the heartbreaking news that my dad, John Allen Amos Jr., transitioned on August 21st. We are devastated and left with many questions about how this happened 45 days ago, learning about it through the media like so many of you." And to give some context, there were allegations of elder abuse or mistreatment by Casey Amos, John Amos's son. And when you hear that against the backdrop of this, it creates more questions than actual answers. And I said this yesterday. I identified as with John Amos as like he was like a surrogate father in that he, growing up watching Good Times, he was very much like my father. In terms of age, they were only a month apart. So they were like the same guy in my mind. And seeing John Amos pass away, it reminds me of my father. To think, if I were in Shannon Amos's shoes, to think that I would not know that my father passed away for 45 days and my own sibling did not tell me, and there were already questions of mistreatment and elder abuse prior to the passing. Well, I don't know if that misunderstanding can be avoided, and I don't know if that could ever be fixed. I don't know if that could ever be repaired. And from what I understand now, the family has come out with a more comprehensive statement.
Yes, led by the daughters, Shannon Amos. A collective family statement was released yesterday, and I will read a couple paragraphs from it. It is quite long. It starts with, "It is with profound sadness and distress that we must share the circumstances surrounding our father's passing. He was a loving man who brought light into the lives of many. However, our family only learned of his death today through media reports, only to discover he actually passed away 45 days ago. Shockingly, we were not notified, nor were any family members informed. This tragic news has left us in shock and heartache. We do not have a death certificate, nor do we know where or why he died, but we know he was suffering from congestive heart failure and dementia. We fear he was likely cremated to avoid any potential investigation into the conditions surrounding his final days." The letter goes on to say that they're suspicious of the son, Casey Amos, because Casey was the last known caretaker of John Amos. It then goes on to basically allege of that elder abuse and saying that they believe that there may have been misappropriation of a will, assets, and that they do feel that the cremation, in fact, was done so that any potential investigation could be thwarted. It's a very damning statement, and it is signed by Shannon Amos, her daughter, multiple grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and quite a few other family members.
There is no legitimate reason to cremate a family member, not involve the rest of the family. We're not talking about extended family, that you may not be in touch with, who have been in consistent contact with John Amos and were aggressively pursuing updates on his care, on his health, on his status. And you didn't tell them about either his passing or the subsequent cremation, I would have to, a reasonable person would have to assume this is to cover up his status.
Shannon also says that the family was not informed of John Amos's passing by any medical professional, the coroner, or any other law enforcement authorities. They're questioning why that happened, and they do allege that the way in which the brother, KC's mother, passed away is eerily similar to what's going on with John Amos. So they're connecting the two and saying that they believe emphatically that foul play is at hand, especially given the involvement of two specific individuals, one Eugene Brummer and another Belinda Foster, who claim to both have been John's spokespeople. So these names were given by Shannon Amos. It's asserted in this collective letter.
Clearly, this is only the beginning of what's going to happen there. I can't say for certain whether there will be a criminal investigation. I hope this leads to a criminal investigation. It's not like that John Amos was not a well-known individual. There are some questions which are going to have to be answered as far as how he died, where he died, circumstances surrounding it. Can any of it be corroborated? Who was the last person to speak with them? Were there any medical professionals involved any step of the way? If he had congestive heart failure, was he in constant contact with a primary care physician and a specialist? These are all the questions that I would want to know, because if there aren't people who can corroborate Casey Amos's story, then there need to be charges. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Before we get out of here, it's not uncommon that I'll go around the room and ask what people are watching. I'll start off. I just saw the Apple TV movie Wolves with Brad Pitt and George Clooney. The budget, $200 million. And I saw that movie and I was looking for $185 million of it, because there's no special effects, there's no CGI, there are no stunts. And I'm thinking for a $200 million movie, it's probably an epic adventure across 5 continents, green screen everywhere. Not a lick.
No, isn't the first half hour all in one room?
It's in one room.
Yeah,
with low lighting.
We know where the money went. Okay,
Are you serious? Really?
I'm not exaggerating.
One room.
Yeah,
one room. And what I've read, George Clooney and Brad Pitt each got $35 million, but still, that's $130 million unaccounted for as far as cinematography.
And over and above the look of the movie, it's a bit of a snoozer.
Well, I didn't hate it. If in other words, if I didn't know the budget and it was just on TV, because I don't think it was ever meant for a theatrical release, it was fine. Was it problematic as far as plot points? Yeah. And for those who don't know, it is set within the universe of Pulp Fiction. If you've seen Pulp Fiction, there is a thread which is followed from Pulp Fiction, which sets up what George Clooney and Brad Pitt's character do and how they come together. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, can I just, for clarification, sure. Are they actually in that universe and reference characters? But I thought the only similarity was that there are a couple of cleaners, like Harvey Keitel.
Well, if you want to just give it away, yeah, sure.
Well, no, that's established right off the bat.
Well, but the whole point is, just like Harvey Keitel, he was a wolf. That was explicit in Pulp Fiction. He was Mr. Wolf in Pulp Fiction.
Right, but my question is, I didn't notice. Do they actually establish that it's in the Tarantino universe somehow?
No. Because, no, they'd probably have to pay Quentin Tarantino a lot of money, but that is the whole genesis of this movie.
Okay.
So maybe there are more Easter eggs. I didn't see them. How about that? But it wasn't bad, but it just seemed like it was a movie about 2 cleaners who liked the movie Ocean's 11 a lot. The verbal interplay was exactly like the 2 characters in Ocean's 11. The jokes, the innuendo, the back and forth, it was just like, we need to get another guy. We need one more. We need one more. It was just like Ocean's 11. And you saw it, it's like, okay, it's Ocean's 11 set in a different location. It was fine. I think the movie's like an hour and 40 minutes or whatever. Not believable, but it's okay. You know, you have to suspend your disbelief as you do, but I just couldn't get past the 200 million. I didn't feel I wasted my time, but it wasn't great. I wasn't mad at the end. It was a little anticlimactic for me. If you've seen it, it doesn't really finish the story as far as I'm concerned. It tells you that there's more story to be told, and I don't like movies like that. Give me a clear and concise ending, and what they gave us was a realization at the end, which would lead to a part 2.
I think part 1's plenty.
For 200 million, yeah.
It wasn't an offensively bad movie, but there was just no reason for it to exist. It was just, if you like those, and I like Clooney and Pitt, I like those Oceans movies, but it's just like the equivalent of a Murder, She Wrote. Oh, here's these people that we like from this generation of actors that we like, just kind of doing something familiar that we enjoy that has very little artistic merit whatsoever.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, I bailed before the end, though.
Okay, all right. I was going to ask you about the end. It felt very like a movie that Robert Redford and Paul Newman turned down.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Because it seemed like a movie that they would do in their heyday, but Pitt and Clooney, God love them, they're not Newman and Redford. That's all.
I think they kind of wish they were our generation's Newman and Redford, but it's just not there. And I don't have anything against them, but it just seemed kind of like a lazy effort from start to finish.
No, it was lazy. It was lazy. It's definitely lazy. I'm just saying, if I saw it in theaters, I would have been very mad. I was at home. I had time watching Apple TV. It passed the time. I think Apple TV, I think it's $9.99 a month. It was fine as part of my subscription. I didn't have to go out of my way. I didn't have to give anything more than my time. It was enough. It's Clooney and Pitt. I watched most of their stuff, so that's okay. Mark, what are you watching?
Well, I watched Apartment 7A, which is the movie that is the prequel to Rosemary's Baby. So instead of Rosemary's Baby, it's like Rosemary's predecessor in The Apartment. And boy, talk about a movie with no reason to exist.
Oh.
It's got, I think Diane Weiss does a pretty good imitation of the Ruth Gordon old lady character, the neighbor, and the star of the movie is the young lady from Ozark, Julia Garner.
Oh, she's great though.
She's terrific, and you kind of can't take your eyes off her. She seems like a child to me, and I guess that's how old we are. She's really interesting to watch, but the movie itself, you're left with the impression that these guys just didn't get the original at all. There's like a dream dance sequence that made me wonder, what in the hell is this? It's kind of like the guy who did the last guy who did an Exorcist movie. It's like, Did you even understand what you watched the first time? Get out of my face with this stuff.
But these are filmmakers not from that generation trying to tell more of a story, not from their generation.
I mean, on the one hand, I complain about people kind of strip mining every reference and prequel idea and that kind of, like the Solo movie, whatever. I've done that kind of stuff myself as a writer, and I really put everything I had into it to make the stuff canonical. But you got to be careful with that stuff. I thought this was just a huge fumble and a waste of everybody's time. No reason to exist whatsoever. Apartment 7A on Paramount Plus.
Tiffany, very quickly.
Sure. I'm watched the Will and Harper documentary on Netflix. It's about Will Ferrell and his really good friend, SNL writer, who comes out as transgender, and they take a road trip across the country to revisit places that Harper went when she was a he, and it tests their friendship. Very moving, definitely not a waste of time. It's called Will and Harper. It's on Netflix, kind of a slapstick buddy comedy at certain points, and again, a very emotionally dense documentary at others. It's good.
Stefan, are you watching anything?
Yeah, I just watched Ricky Gervais's last stand-up. Really good, really funny. Definitely not PC. So if you're easily offended, stay away. But it was a lot of fun. He had a lot of creative jokes. And I also watched that documentary Hell Camp about the to help troubled teens.
Yeah, it's like rehabilitation center.
In the middle of the desert. Whew. That one's a little heavy, but it's really interesting.
Well, hopefully someone got some good recommendation of something to watch. In the meantime, we will see you tomorrow. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
What you need to know and when you need to know it.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.